Hello everybody, this is JD. Today I'm doing a video on, I guess, the hypocrisy of communism. What do I mean, the hypocrisy of communism? Well, see, the Glenn Beck or Hannity the other night had this big wheel in communists, was pushing communists and communism, and that I wish I could remember his name, but he was really a prime example of what true communism is. A hypocrisy, a liar, and a facade. Nothing real. Now, you communists out there who think that I'm saying this, I'm wrong. Just look at yourself. I'm not a communist. You know why? Because my actions say I'm not a communist. I don't believe in giving all my whatever I have to the government. I do believe, though, the government should assist me after all the years I spent assisting the government. That's why I'm on unemployment. Okay? But the bottom line is, I'm a constitutionalist, and I believe in our Constitution. I believe in our government. But what I said that this guy was a hypocrisy. He is the true definition of a hippie. A person who says one thing, a hypocrite, and does something else. He sits there, preaches communism. He backs it up on nothing that is factual. He backs it up on nothing that is real. He backs it up on not even his own action. His own website is a .gov website, so he don't have to pay taxes on it. The pure opposite of what communism is. Communism, he should be fully paying everything that website makes to the government. If he truly believes in communism, every penny that website makes and every penny he makes at his job in excess of bare minimum should go straight to the government. But no, it doesn't. It goes into his nice home, it goes into his nice clothes, it goes into all this nice, good stuff. So, what is he? He's a hypocrite. He was asked a few simple questions about communism, and he couldn't even come up with real answers. All he could do is blunder, and I mean blunder, around a pack of lies. Very few people know the difference between the Soviet Union's government and the difference between Hitler's Nazi government was nothing. One won the war and the other one lost the war. They both were socialist governments. They both believe in taking over private property. They both believe in government owns everything, and if you disagreed with them, they killed you. There was no real difference between the Russian communists and the Nazi federalists. They actually federal socialists. But there's a few things he couldn't answer and refused to answer. What was the downfall of any successful governmental system? Socialism. When it gets to a point when the majority of the people in a government is socialized or living off the government can no longer sustain itself. Once it's at the point where it can't sustain itself, then it becomes a downfall. Prime example, you could look at the Roman Empire. A very strong, powerful, democratic government that became extremely socialist and collapsed. And then it fell apart within, because people within themselves thought they could do a better job and they tore it up. You see the same thing happening in this country. The more and more socialist we become, the more and more larger the separatist movement comes. Eventually you become a point where we become so socialist, the separatists break it up, and our government will fall apart. That is a warning. But the truth of the matter is, what I'm talking about is that communism is a hypocrisy and a lie. If you wanted to see any true communism in the world, there's only really one place it has been demonstrated. And that's the United States. The Eskimos lived in a communist society, and a lot of your people, quote unquote, that they called hippies, lived in communes which were communist societies. Nobody owned everything, everybody did everything, and they all shared equally. That is what a communist society is. Not this crap, not this other stuff. And it is an ideal society. It is small, community, like a family, a small, maybe borough of people, but not for a vast government. A good example of how it is an actual failure is looking at that, I don't know what you want to call that hypocrisy that was sitting there trying to lie his way out where he couldn't even, because they had the actual information available, or they had people who could research the information, so he couldn't say anything without proving himself to be an absolute liar, which he did. He proved himself to be a total hypocrite, a total liar. Anyone who supports communism, I'd like to stand up face to face, and I would be more than happy to prove to them that their own actions make them the liar. It's not what you say that matters. It really isn't, people. Understand that. You people have been fed too many stories, too many lies, too many piles of crap, and you begin to believe it. That's not the American way. You want to tell me something? I'm going to research it. I'm going to look for the truth. And when I find out the truth, I will come to my own reasonable conclusion. That is the American way. That is the most dangerous way. Because people like that, I don't know what you would call him. I mean, he was a fool. And it showed that he was a total fool. He could not substantially defend his point of view because his actions alone showed he was an extreme capitalist. He was as bad as a capitalist as what's his name that lost all those billions of dollars of people on Wall Street. He's doing exactly the same thing. He is taking money, spending it on himself on a phony pretense, and getting people to give it to that phony pretense. What's the difference between me selling you stocks and shares that aren't real, or me setting up a program that isn't real? He is as much a capitalist as that, I don't know who he is, that cost the world $6 billion, $600 billion, or $6 billion, $60 billion, whatever. Bottom line is, your actions speak for you, not your words. A liar is a liar. A hypocrite is a hypocrite. Before you get up there and defend communism, try living it. Sign over everything you got to the government. Every penny you make to the government. Then, maybe then, you could stand up and defend communism. But until then, if you're going to be a capitalist, shut up, you phonies. Thank you. This is JD. Remember, don't think Republican, don't think Democrat. Think American. What does that mean? That means if somebody says something, go look for the truth. Don't believe them because you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, or you're this or you're that. You go look for the answer, the truth, and then you decide what is the correct. And that is think American. And that is the most dangerous. Thank you. You have a nice day. This is JD.